Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm Liz,
I'm Christian.
and this is Two Poor Kids.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. It's been a minute since we have been here, and by a minute, I mean a lot of minutes. It's been like 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Ish?
we
Yeah.
posted 2 Tuesdays ago.
And so, like,
Well, now 3 Tuesdays
now
ago.
3 Tuesdays ago, we're a mess. And I think, like, sometimes life catches up, and that has happened the past few weeks, and Um, yeah, that's like the beginning and the end of it. Is like being human sometimes mean that we miss some deadlines to keep others, and um,
Self-proclaimed deadlines, by the way.
self-proclaimed deadlines are not real. I mean, everything is made up.
We like that if you're listening and you're enjoying it, but really, we did this for us.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, and we're happy if anybody cares to friends to learn a little bit more about us. People who are like checking yourself out. This guy, I have to tell you, and I'm happy about. Not 5 minutes ago, I said, "What do you think you want to talk about today?" And he said, "You're driving this one." So I'm happy that you all, if you're watching, that you get to see that Christian's checking himself out, because I've been waiting to do this podcast for a minute. For tonight's episode, and I have several things that I am gonna string together for this, as long as I remember to do so. I we're concert goers. This is not what tonight's episode is about. We're concert goers, and he's wearing a Falling in Reverse hoodie right now,
The popular Monsters tour.
and he's just like really loving on himself, which I love.
I love a good heavy black sweatshirt.
So tonight I want to talk about something that has felt extremely fundamental in our relationship, and who I think you are to me and the girls as like a man in our life, and something that I think a lot of people and like society implications on men really struggle with the idea of. And so years ago, you heard this poem, and it was a fundamental, what I would say is like a before and after moment. I think you had a significant mental shift before listening to this poem from the artist Guante, and a fundamental shift after, and that you continue to be held suspended in the state in between where everything makes sense.
Am I going to have to read a poem today?
And I think it makes more sense if you read it. I couldn't find your book, so I just pulled it up.
Yeah, I have the... Liz got me the signed copy sometime after that time.
And the book is Guante, and so I encourage you all to go buy the book. And this specific book, that the poem, the 10 responses to the phrase "man up," which Christian will read for us tonight, because he said 7 minutes ago now that I get to choose what we're doing tonight. And the book is a love song, a death rattle, a battle cry. What's really cool about this book, when I was reading through it, and it was after you were reading through it because you were like, "This is cool," is he straight up, the author, the poet, says, listen to the YouTube, because he's a spoken word poet. So like, listen to the spoken word, read it, do them together, because it lands so significantly, not just this poem, but many of the poems.
I'm not going to be able to recite it as awesome as County does, for sure.
It's that's fine, because it's his mind.
Yeah.
But there are things that specifically talk about like my masculinity, and although I have masculinity, it's going to be different, I think, coming from you. If you're very against reading it, I won't read
No,
it.
dude.
Okay. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your own experiences with this poem. Do you want to do that before or after?
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have several instances that feel like fundamental truths as to the man that you are. I think in some respect to Guante and this poem and like his body of work, and a lot of respect to the self work that you put in reflection to be the man that you are today. Not 3 weeks ago was I crying over how you were showing up for like a female coworker, just crying because, um, if only like there were men like you everywhere. Uh, Things like glass ceiling would probably not exist, and I would feel safe to walk down the street at night. But that's not the world that I live in. It's not full of yous. So,
I agree that this poem, among many things, taught me that it's my responsibility to create safe spaces for people.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is my recital of 10 responses to the phrase "man up" by Guante. So 10 responses to the phrase "man up." Fuck you. If you want to question my masculinity, like a schoolyard circle of curses, like a sword fight with lightsaber erections, save your breath. Because contrary to what you may believe, not every problem can be solved by growing a pair. You can't arm wrestle your way out of a chemical depression. The CEO of the company that just laid you off does not care how much you bench. And I promise there is no light beer in the universe full-bodied enough to make you love yourself. 3.
Oh, 3.
Man up. Oh, that's that new superhero, right? Mild-mannered supplement salesman Mark Manstrong says the magic words "man up" and then transforms into the 5 o'clock shadow, that massively muscled, deep-voiced, leather duster-wearing Superman who defends the world from, I don't know, feelings. 4. Of course. Why fight to remove our chains when we can simply compare their lengths? Why step outside the box when the box has these badass flame decals on it? We men are cigarettes, dangerous and poisonous and stupid. 5. If you ever notice, 5. You never notice nobody ever says woman up. They just imply it. Because women and the women's movement figured out a long time ago that being directly ordered around by commercials, magazines, and music is dehumanizing. When will men figure that out? 6. The phrase, man up, suggests that competence and perseverance are uniquely masculine traits. That women, not to mention any man who doesn't eat steak, drive a pickup truck, have lots of sex with women, are nothing more than background characters, comic relief, props. More than anything, though, it suggests that to be yourself, whether you wear skinny jeans, listen to Lady Gaga, rock a little eyeliner, drink some other brand of light beer, or write poetry, will cost you. 7. How many boys have to kill themselves before this country acknowledges the problem? How many women have to be assaulted? How many trans people have to be murdered? We teach boys how to wear the skin of a man, but we also teach them how to raise that skin like a flag and draw blood for it. 8. Boy babies get blue socks. Girl babies get pink socks. What about purple? What about orange, yellow, chartreuse, cerulean, black, tie-dyed, buffalo, plaid, rainbow? 9. I want to be free to express myself. Man up. I want to have meaningful emotional relationships with my brothers. Man up. I want to be weak sometimes. Man up. I want to be strong in a way that isn't about physical power or dominance. Man up. I want to talk to my son about something other than sports. Man up. I want to be who I am. Man up. 10. No.
10 reasons.
10 reasons. Uh, Yeah, I think that I specifically am reminded and share this poem with everybody in my life periodically, almost annually. Uh, I'm confident that there are very few people that I have never met that have had such a great impact on the way that I think, like Guante. Uh, probably never be able to shake his hand or anything, but uh,
But a fundamental shift.
yeah,
And not that you were like a piece of shit before, because that's
no,
not true. Like you were also like a decent man and on your like journey and respectful and all of the things. But like the I think that you found this poem and you brought it to me.
yeah,
And I love poetry. I'm on poetry all the time. Follow a lot of spoken word stuff, and I had not seen this one yet.
and it was on Button Poetry. Yeah, I don't know if that's where I found it, but I remember that. And it was either around the time of senior year or shortly after
College or high school?
college. Yeah. Uh, and I remember it just stuck in my head for so long. Uh, because of that, like you specifically have changed the way that I think.
Hmm.
We don't think the same, and we don't always believe the same thing. Uh, Probably for the better for you. Uh,
Fair.
and I remember that I grew around the tough guys. I watched toxic relationships. I watched the locker room banter. And when I found this poem, a lot of things clicked in my head, and like one of the big things for me was the way that I talk to other men and the way I talk about other men and what I thought was playful rhetoric. It clicked in my head that it was doing harm, like racist jokes or I know them. I know the homie's not ever gonna watch this, but like for the longest time, my heterosexual life partner would be, "What up, gay boy? What up, faggot?" Like that was his initial text. And prior to having read this poem and like done some deep thinking, I would have fired back. And at this point, when I read this, and after it kind of like sunk in, I only ever replied with, "Hi, brother. How are you?" Or, "I love you, brother." Or, "What's up, homie?" Or,
Trying to at least change your side of the street.
"Yes, I'm only ever responsible for my side of the street. I don't get to control other people's thinking." And I learned very quickly that while working on self-talk and self-rhetoric, I needed to also change how I explain things or how I talk to other people. And You know, like AA and NA, they AA specifically, like it's really heavy in like women building up women and men building up men. Uh,
Very much like in the binary and also sequestered to like being with your own gender.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it like this isn't the first time that I understood the idea of men building up men,
Mm.
but it is the first time that I started to change the way that I help build up other men. And that has played out in all of the relationships that I've had moving forward. Uh, one of my friends now talks about it often. Is that he's talked about a certain way in the same friends group that I'm in, and he says they'd never talk to you like that. And I said, I know, because I don't talk to them like that, and I also don't leave it open for them to talk to me like that. I only talk in a way that builds other people up.
Right.
I don't want to be the one that said the thing that got someone to go hang themselves.
Because it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like people lose their lives over rhetoric.
Yeah.
Yeah. That poem gets me every time. So I grew up in a house of all boys in my much younger years. And so only girl, youngest. And I watched this rhetoric growing up of like being a tough guy. And my biological dad, he was not like tough guy, pretty soft spoken, but I think still largely maintained to the idea of, like, and he was raised, he was a military brat. And so he was like still raised in that idea of like men do this, men act away, toughen up. Even though my dad was, he was not like a hard man, but still there was a clear difference between like myself and my brothers and the expectations and like talking about feelings and those kinds of things. Is that there was always going to be more room for me, sort of, than there would be for my brothers in that kind of space. And I also was innately aware of like the media. Like I'm like a feminist through and through,
What?
through and through, and with that, so like please do not get it twisted. Uh, like the media about men, geared at men, is insane. Um, like it is also true for women, but I think that it is often more talked about in women for many completely justifiable reasons, but there is like such negative implications to like media communications, what it is to be a man, the man up philosophy, um, that like nobody can actually meet or achieve what the media tells you to be. That you gotta smell the right way, you gotta look the right way, you gotta be 6'3", you gotta whatever, whatever, whatever. Here I am describing. Yeah, I don't
Fucking nailed it.
know. Right, and
Man.
man up. Um, the piece that I always like, and I've listened to this poem. I've like listened to Gante's poetry, unbuttoned poetry, and anywhere I can find it. But I've listened to this poem and shared this poem. I kid you not, a minimum of like 40 times. Like I so serious about it because of such an impact that it had on you. But there's this phrase later in the poem that says, "I want to have meaningful relationships with my brothers." And that always hits me because so often I think you have expressed, many of my male friends have expressed, my brothers have expressed that like conversations are not deep. unless you're being intentional about having deep conversations. That's also true with women. But it's different, in my experience.
This poem is one of the things that taught me, and it doesn't say this, but it was something that I interpreted out of it, is that if I want to have meaningful relationships with my brothers, then I need to become intimate with another man.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means taking the first step and doing the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you often are like hard on your sleeve when you see somebody that you're like, this friendship.
What? Me?
This friendship can be part of my like fabulous five.
Yeah. I think that this is also around the time that, the idea of the five closest people, my closest five people are going to be the people that make up my personality, or make up the way that I think, the things that I do.
Have we talked about this five closest people thing yet?
I don't know.
I'll explain it in a minute.
Yeah. That was not a new concept for me at this time. However, this was the time that my five closest people weren't around anymore. So I got to reshape my five closest people.
And you got to choose.
Yeah.
And therefore you got to choose who you wanted to be and not simply who you were.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot of conversations about that for both of us, right? Is like, if I'm looking at my future self, what is my future self doing? Who are the kind of people my future self is surrounded by, and what are people saying about her? And how do I do that? Like, if that's the version of me that I want, what am I willing to do to get there? And am I willing to move people who are on my inner circle to an outer circle? And in some cases, in both of our lives, but in my own life, am I willing to like let that friendship go or that family ship go, because I have also let go of family members? Am I willing to let that go in order to become the better version of myself? And that's also part of the work that I do. So I think like the quick version of this, in case you were not like a close friend of ours and therefore have not seen me do this to you in real life.
And this is a real psychological effect.
Yeah. Is that we all, if you're watching on YouTube, so you could, we haven't said this in a very long time, but you can watch us on YouTube, or you can listen wherever
We're on YouTube?
or you can listen wherever you podcast. You can find us on all the social medias. Everything is Two Poor Kids podcast, blah, 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 blah. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me doing this with my hands, and I'll talk through it. So if you're holding up your hand, and then you take the index finger of your other hand and you put it in the middle of your hand, so just like square in the middle. And then if you move around your fingers, like you can feel the bones in your hands, you can like feel all of your muscles and tendons moving. Well, if we are the center of our hands, our influence are these five fingers. So if I close all of my fingers around, all of my five fingers around the one, my finger is stuck. That is what I'm doing. Like, that is just how it is. If there's only two, it's easier to manipulate, yada, yada, yada. So if this is true, and it is, our influence is the five closest people that we have to us. The things that they say, the things that they do, what they permit is what they promote, and therefore what I permit is what I promote. What I'm willing to hold up is the values of these five people. So if I allow somebody into my inner circle, into my five friends, which is not to say that they can't be my friends, maybe not in my five closest people, but my circle of influence, who I am influenced by, if their values do not align with where I want to be or where I am also promoting that behavior. I'm also succumbing to that. I'm also a part of that. I'm part of that toxicity because I'm upholding it. And so, in order to change my outcome, I also have to be willing to change my friends because we are surrounded by, like, our 5 closest people are our greatest influences. That is true for how we see the world. So, whether you're like cup half empty, cup half full, I'm just a realist and the cup is, there's just a half amount of water in there, there's room for more. All of that is influenced by the people surrounding us. So, you found yourself in a time where you're like, well, shit.
Yeah. So prior to reading this poem, I'm confident this is going to piss somebody off. But I was the asshole that rode around with the I love lesbians fucking rearview mirror air freshener. Uh,
In an old life, we would have. I, I was saying this. I was saying this to somebody this week. Oftentimes when people are like, "Oh my gosh, if only I would have found my soulmate sooner."
I was a cunt.
If I would have, or if Christian would have, if either of us would have known each other prior to when we did, go back to origin stories if you want to know that whole story. We would probably not be together today. I would think that you were that guy and you were a piece of shit and you would think I was a prude and a loudmouth. Probably.
There was a time when I was a cunt.
It yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like we would never be here today. If that was the only version of you I had exposure to.
Yeah, I was dressed kind of similar. I wear far more skinny jeans now.
I remember the skinny jean transition.
Oh man, what a weird time. Yeah, I had this preconceived idea of what it meant to be a man. And today, like sometimes I just recognize this thing is that, or this aspect about me is that being under the LGBT community flag was weird.
Mm.
I didn't have any of those friends.
No queer friends for you?
No. And now most of my friends fall under some flag identity.
Mm.
And it's not weird.
It's not weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, people.
Yeah, I became this poem. You know, among like a lot of the things that we've talked about along the way, for sure. But I think that this poem made it all right for me to transition that thinking that was no longer serving me.
And like Christian and I have had, we've been together for about a decade. And
Definitely hitting it for about a decade.
we've been hitting it for about a decade, but the transition from
Not
hitting
one
it,
single 2x4.
not one single 2x4. The transition though from us like sleeping together to being in a relationship was relatively fast. So about a decade we've been together. And where was I going with this? Oh, I think like I would have needed you to make greater progress than your trajectory was with language and like ideals, and I think like derogatory language. I would have needed that to change faster than you would have been comfortable with had you not have had another tool. And so I think that this poem served as a good tool. And not that you weren't like willing to do and to make those changes, because you were. Like anytime I was like, hey, that's really harmful language. Or like some people kill themselves over rhetoric like that. Every time you were like, oh, wow, I've just never thought about it. Like, I've just never actually taken I didn't think it was that serious.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it is. And so like you would have made all of the changes. I think that this made that change exponential.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah. So, I think this poem serves as a really great anchor for a few other things that I want to weave through it. You said at the beginning of this podcast that like you really wanted, nope, this is not a gotcha, that we were all here for it. And I was like, yes, this is the language to use. That like that you wanted to be a person who was also a safe space. And I think that we should also talk about, because if you're like listening and you aren't a safe person, or you don't know if you're a safe person, like let me describe to you what a safe person is, at least for women, right? And so like other identities, other intersections will have different expectations and like needs for like their marginalization. But in order to be like a safe person, like we need the other person who does not have our identity to believe us. To believe us the first time that we say something, to take what we're saying seriously and to give it as much weight, if not more weight, than the opposing non-marginalized group. We need people to have our names in their mouth in a positive way in rooms that we are not in. That don't just like let it slide because nobody is watching. Like safe people have a fundamental sense of honesty and authenticity that you can read. And so like you can't fake being a safe person. And so if you are curious whether or not you're a safe person, you could be a safe person even if people have not like told you you're a safe person. But you have to be able to be extremely honest with yourself about how much of your own comfort are you willing to give up in order to protect somebody who is not yourself. That has some identity that does not have anything to do with you. And are you willing to lose couth points with whomever you are in a room with to tell somebody else and to disrupt harm? And so to disrupt harm is to say, to be that person that's like, hey, I disagree with you. I need you to stop. That's not okay language. That's not true about that person. You're simply spreading rumors. Like those are all like symptoms of a safe person, somebody who's like disrupting that harm. And so the reason that I think that this poem is cool, a few weeks ago, you were a safe person in a work environment when somebody didn't even know that they needed you to be a safe person. So conversations behind like closed doors. And you disrupted harm and like started changing the rhetoric about what was or was not acceptable and how we talk to people. And I just sobbed on the couch as you're like recanting a story to me, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Yeah.
And the reason that made me sob was I'm so proud that not only am I married to you as somebody that I know that you, gosh, I'm getting emotional now, that I know that that even if you were not married to me, that you would have my back in a room. That if I was walking down the street at night, that you wouldn't let harm come to me just because there were more people or other people that you didn't know causing harm to me. That our daughters have somebody who gets to set the example for what it is to have a safe person with no strings attached. Because like the other part about being a safe person is that you often are disrupting that harm, and then nobody knows about it except for the people who were in the room, right? Like, you're not like, I need an attaboy.
Yeah.
And man, and I know that's true because every time I start crying, you're like, "Are you okay?" um, like it's not an overreaction on my part. Is that the world, in fact, is unbelievably unsafe. Um, whether it's walking down the street or existing at work, and that it is also just simply not accessible to women in the same way, to trans folks in the same way, to queer folks, queer identities in the same way. And like all of those are ways that I've seen you like really fucking kill it. And it makes me so proud to be your wife. I think about you wearing the Protect Trans Folks
I thought about wearing that shirt today,
shirt.
but I didn't.
And that like people were sort of like acting kind of a way, and I like didn't even clock why somebody was potentially being rude, and you were like, I just don't think that they appreciate that I wore this shirt today, and fuck them. Yeah. So like I love you, and I have a lot of gratitude for who you've grown into. I have a lot of gratitude for Guante and helping bridge that gap, not just for you, but hopefully for lots of people, because that poem
I
is
can't be the
also,
only one.
for sure, it's a very popular poem. It was also fundamental to me and many things that I learned listening to that as a woman, and so I love that. Great job.
Thanks.
And it makes me think whether it's this one or the next one, you can decide, but like we should talk at some point in time about the song that we refer to as the gospel.
Oh shit. Yeah. Probably not this time.
That's fair.
Yeah. This particular poem, I found by accident, and frankly, I I dare say that, you know, aside from the poems that you wanted to share with me, it allowed me to know that I could also relate to poetry.
Mm,
Yeah. Now I'm still not gonna start writing poetry for sure,
maybe.
but I could. Who knows?
You're drawing now.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach my brain to be artsy, creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job. So, do you have thoughts on if somebody's trying to change their 5 closest people, or trying to figure out like which part of this poem they want to take on to dismantle the harm they're doing to themselves and others? Like, how do you do it?
My first sponsor told me this thing, and I remember he would always say it at his birthday meetings and anytime he was doing a speaker meeting. He said, I'm not the man I want to be, and I'm not the man I'm going to be, but thank God I'm not the man I used to be.
Oof.
And I've, like, obviously that has stuck with me. I'm coming up on the 15-year mark in a few months. And this poem and that statement is how I do it. Is that an uncommon or an unfavorable belief? One of the steps in the programs is we made a list of all of our character defects, and then we turned them over to God, basically. I'm not a religious individual, I do have spirituality aspects for sure. And I'm learning more and more about those. For me, though, to relieve my character defects or get rid of the behaviors that are no longer serving me, I have to act them into existence. Like if I don't, and I feel like I've actually been doing better about this, but I used to have really bad road rage.
Oh my God. Yes. You are much better.
I am much better. Come to find out, that's also a PTSD and anxiety thing. I don't like getting trapped in a box. But I remember that one of the ways that I was trying to deal with that, because I knew that it disturbed you.
Oh, it upset me deeply.
I said disturbed.
Yes.
Is that when I was on my own, I would purposely drive in the middle lane. Because in my head, if I'm driving in the fast lane, I have to be going the fastest. And if other people in front of me are not going faster, then they need to get the fuck over. But in the middle lane, I never get in the slow lane first off. I'm not slow.
I'll never be slow.
I'm never slow. The middle lane in my head is where you go the speed limit. So I would purposely take when I felt that I was getting anxious and getting wily, like I would forcibly put myself in the middle lane. Which I don't like being in there because there's fucking...
You're boxed in.
Boxed in. But that is just an example of changing the behavior until it becomes okay. If I don't want to talk negatively about people, myself included, myself being the harder one for sure, then I have to stop myself when I'm saying the bad thing and replace it with a good thing. Among the, like, I don't say man up anymore. And anytime that it has slipped out of my mouth, even in a joking sense, it just sounds bad to me in my head. Like, that was gross. Why did I say that? Like, I don't call people a pussy. Saying pussy sounds weird.
Also, just like factually have been inappropriately trying to use pussy as a derogatory term for a long time. Society so strong, in fact, birth people, retain shape, self-cleaning, and can take a pounding. Very strong.
Very strong. Very flexible. And not only do I stop the behavior, I spend a lot of time thinking about why the thought and the behavior exist and what created the thought and the behavior.
Like doing some root cause
Yeah.
analysis on where did this come from and why do.
And fun story, even the idea of man up, for me, it's almost always fear. So I have to figure out what the fear is. The fear for man up is not being considered man enough. But inadequacies. But what do I actually care? I know that I can punch a hole in the wall. I know that I can throw a coffee cup really hard at the wall and break it. I know that I can bench press a bunch of stuff.
Guys, I have to tell you, I'm a big girl, okay? I am. I've been a big girl my whole life. Girls, listen. Christian's whole goal of going to the gym is to prove that he can bench my weight or push my weight in every which way he does. And men, listen, do that. Okay. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Before we went to Warped Tour, my goal, she still didn't let me do it. I squatted 450 pounds
I'm not
in
450.
front of her to show her that I could put her on my shoulders at the concert. And she still didn't fucking let me do it. I got all the way up to 450 pounds. 10 times. Not even just one time.
So hot.
But yeah, like at the end of the day, the boss doesn't care that I can fucking squat 450 pounds.
Yeah.
The person that's going to go hang themselves because they're not accepted in the world doesn't care that I can squat 450 pounds.
I care.
I fucking wish you'd care more to let me put you.
Wish you'd care more. Let me put you on my shoulders.
Fucking quit doing that fucking squat to the floor thing.
Look, I've been short my whole life. I understand how weight distribution works, and also that people cannot pick me up if I immediately find my center of gravity closer to the floor. Like a boulder. I'm a nice boulder.
A pretty boulder.
Um,
I think that this poem let me know that I can be gentle. It let me know that I can be soft sometimes. I don't have to be. It's actually the part that's fucked up is that I am not a religious individual, and most of these sexual related fucking controls around men are from the fucking church.
yes. And women for the
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
It's fucking all of it's just population control.
Well, and white Anglo-Saxon Protestants,
Yeah.
right? Like the WASP culture is real.
Jokes on them. My family were Vikings. Guess that's actually jokes on us, but
Jokes on jokes on you. Thank you for bringing us on the man up journey. It's just, I feel, so fundamental to who you are. It's also like really significant in my own thought patterns, and I am just so proud to have you like be a dad and a husband in our lives.
should I end with a reciting?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And then go find it on Button Poetry. Go follow him. We'll tag him. All the things.
Guante is spelled Guante. If you look up the Guante, 10 the responses to the phrase man up, you'll see his recital.
Mm-hmm.
And
You could also say Gonti, man up, and it'll automatically populate.
sometimes I buy some of his stuff just to know that I'm helping him spread his message.
I love that.
Yeah. So 10 phrases to the 10 responses to the phrase man up. 1, fuck you. 2, if you want to question my masculinity, like a schoolyard circle of curses, like a sword fight with lightsaber erections, save your breath. Because contrary to what you may believe, not every problem can be solved by growing a pair. You can't arm wrestle your way out of a chemical depression. The CEO of the company that just laid you off does not care how much you bench, and I promise there's no light beer in the universe full-bodied enough to make you love yourself. 3, man up. Oh, that's that new superhero, right? Mild-mannered supplement salesman Mark Manstrong says the magic words, man up, and then transforms into 5 o'clock shadow. The massively muscled, deep-voiced, leather duster-wearing Superman who defends the world from, I don't know, feelings. 4, of course, why fight to remove our chains when we can simply compare their lengths? Why step outside the box when the box has these badass flame decals on it? We men are cigarettes, dangerous and poisonous and stupid. 5. You ever notice that how no one ever says woman up? They just imply it because women and the women's movement figured out a long time ago that being directly ordered around by commercials, magazines, and music is dehumanizing. When will men figure that out? 6. The phrase man up suggests that competence and perseverance are uniquely masculine traits. That women, not to mention any man who doesn't eat steak, drive a pickup truck, have sex with lots of women, are nothing more than background characters, comic relief, props. More than anything, though, it suggests that to be yourself, whether you wear skinny jeans, listen to Lady Gaga, rock a little eyeliner, drink some other brand of light beer, or write poetry, will cost you. 7. How many boys have to kill themselves before this country acknowledges the problem? How many women have to be assaulted? How many trans people have to be murdered? We teach boys how to wear the skin of a man, but we also teach them how to raise that skin like a flag and draw blood for it. 8. Boy babies get blue socks. Girl babies get pink socks. What about purple? What about orange, yellow, chartreuse, cerulean, black, tie-dyed, buffalo plaid, rainbow? 9. I want to be free to express myself. Man up. I want to have meaningful emotional relationships with my brothers. Man up. I want to be weak sometimes. Man up. I want to be strong in a way that isn't about physical power or dominance. Man up. I want to talk to my son about something other than sports. Man up. I want to be who I am. Man up. 10. No.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Two poor kids.